Hello everyone, this is DJ, and today I'm making a video on the actual best way to refill Juul Pods. A lot of people made videos, and not that their methods necessarily are bad or don't work, but I find that a lot of them involve either reusing the same cotton forever and ever, or you end up with juice in your mouth. So this method is the actual technical breakdown. I've completely disassembled Juul Pods in the past, broken them down to each individual piece, the two plates, the filament, the tube, the plastic chassis that connects to the tube, as well as the plastic frame, the shell here, and the top with the two cotton pellets in it. So this is how I do a normal juice refill. Now this one actually is going to get rewicked, so I'm going to save that one for last. I want to show everybody the actual juice refill first. So for this one, I'm refilling it a little early, of course, but again, this is just so that I can show you guys the process. Also, I'm heading out today for some Pokemon Go, and I want to make sure I have a full vape. So what I always do is my first tool that I use is I have a small screwdriver. I picked this up at Walgreens for like $1.59. It's for glasses. You can see the extras in the back here. It's just a tiny little screwdriver, and I just stick it under there and lift a little bit, pull the one side over. And then it's a little slippery because there's a little juice on the outside, but once the one side is pulled over, I usually grab it and hold it in place so that it won't slip back on while I'm doing the other one. And then I get underneath that, and once they're both off, you can just slide the top off. Now, I just re-wicked this yesterday, that's why this is my quick refill one. So what I do is I take that black stopper out of the top. You have your open container, and I have some Space Jam Eclipse here. It's a tobacco and vanilla bean custard flavor. Candavish tobacco. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I like it. It's like a nice cigar with vanilla in it. I don't know how to explain it exactly. So what I do is just your normal thing. I fill it up, right, and I put the stopper in. That's it. The case is done. That's how easy a refill is, okay? And you can see there's juice from out of the bottom there, from where I tapped it down in the first place. And I'm going to show you how to take care of that in just a moment. The second thing I like to do is I get my screwdriver again. You can see there's two holes down there. I push it straight to the hole against the edge, so that's down and then against one side. And that'll pull the cotton pellet out. I put that over here on, I use a sock, clean sock of course. This is a dedicated juice sock. And then I just do the same thing with the other side, down into the middle, push it against the pellet and the wall to put some pressure on the pellet, and then drag it up to the top. Now, these cotton pads I've been reusing since I got the Juul Pods. They seem to, as long as you bleed them dry, they always do well. So what I do is I put them on the sock, I fold the sock over, and I press straight down. I actually just felt a pop. There was so much juice in that one on the right. So I pressed them down into the sock, and you can see they come out as completely flat, completely dry cotton pads. Now, they're stained, but the staining doesn't affect it in any way. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pop those back in here. Sometimes I can get them both in at the same time, sometimes not. What I do is I just flip it up so it's against the side, tap it straight down, and then I can just give the top of it a little tap, a little fattening. You can see how it's kind of, here. Now you can see how it's kind of spread out at the top there a little bit from the tapping. Just a light tap, you're not trying to crush it. But the reason for that is when you flip it back over to put it on top of your pod, you don't drop the cotton doesn't just fall right back out of the lid. So then, see, the cotton's not falling out. Put this back down over and push it down. Finally, the last step here is a little bit strange, but what you want to do is this chamber at the bottom, where the plates are in between them, is not actually supposed to have juice in it. Just the wick is, and you can see on the edges of mine if you look closely, and the camera will focus. Hello. Yeah, you can see just on the edges of mine a little bit of fraying. That's where the edges of the cotton are. So the cotton is supposed to wick it into the chamber in the cotton. The chamber is not actually supposed to have juice in it. So what I always do is I put the black part in my lips as if I'm about to take a vape, but instead of pulling on it, I will actually blow into it, and that will force anything, it will run down the tube and force anything that's in that chamber out of the little slots at the bottom where the metal contacts stick out. So what I'll do is like this. And then that's it. You're refilled. You're definitely not going to get any juice into your mouth if you have ever rewicked the pod. If you haven't rewicked the pod, it's super important that you do. Some people are just using the same wick over and over again, and maybe that's good for them, but the thing is that your wicks are going to suck up and absorb flavor that you really don't want. And especially if you change juices on the same wick, it's really going to taint the juice that you're using. It's going to, have the flavor profile of the last juices in there, and it sticks a little bit, So what I'm going to show you next is how to rewick a pod. There is better cotton to use than the cotton that I'm using. I'm simply using the cotton off of the tip of Q-tips, which is bleached white industrial cotton, which is great for on your face, or, well, supposedly not, but in your ears. But not the greatest thing to be vaping on. It's what I have on hand. I'm too lazy to go buy organic cotton down at the smoke shop. Whatever. Excuses, blah, blah, blah. Now see, this one I've had a little bit of trouble with always. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull real hard on this to cant it to one side like that. And then I'm going to hold it in place. Now I'm going to get in under the other side and pull it straight off. So it's the same process. Delit it, pull the black stopper out. Now is where everything changes. Now this one I've vaped dry. I don't know if you guys can see that there. Yeah, this one I've vaped dry. So it's going to be easy to rewick. Obviously, if you still have juice in it, you need to get that juice out. That would involve just, taking some cotton swabs, loosening up the cotton on the tip and running it down there, letting it soak up, pull it out, do it again. But in this case, I don't need to do all that. But I mean, getting the juice out is not a hard thing to do. I probably don't need to explain that any more than I just did. So what I do is I have a pair of tweezers here that I use strictly for juice. These are old, bad tweezers. They couldn't grab a hair if they wanted to, and that's why I use them for this. I get it under the plate, okay? And then I push in towards the plastic and just roll the tweezers. So you see how there's that kind of motion that I do with my hands where I roll it in, and I roll this plate until it's facing almost outwards, right? Almost it's right now it's inwards, but usually I roll it just a little bit more, and then you see it's facing almost like it's gonna roll away from the pod. And then I do the same thing on the other side. Right? Get your tweezers in there. Roll that metal contact away from the pod. Okay? And then you just take the tweezers and you push one at a time so that it doesn't fall apart. A little bit at a time, because if you push one plate out too much, it will actually separate the pieces at the bottom. And I may do it in another video where I show the full breakdown of the piece at the bottom, for those of us who do accidentally this, so that I can grab the tube right? And now, if I can get the camera to focus, and just come in here like this. And this one, I have rewicked it before, but it needs rewicked again. You can see we're pulling out my old cotton here. And this one actually came out one piece, which is surprising because I don't think that's ever happened before. I must have done a real good job rewicking this one. But otherwise, you would just flip it over and do the same to the other side, right? Pull the cotton out of the other side as well, because generally it tears in half. Just throw that away. And then what I like to do is just come in here and operate a little bit, grab any spare strands that are sticking out, like so. Easy peasy. Okay, now since we have this, we can see it's the two plates and there's the coiled filament in the center there. What I generally like to do is just make sure that my coil is centered as much as it can be. Be careful not to pull, you know, it out of the plates, which I've done to this one before, unfortunately. And once that coil is, get some focus here, once that coil is centered, as you can see here, all we have to do is set this down, get ourselves the cotton off the tip of a Q-tip, and we want to run it out, just kind of rolling it as we run it out so that it's fairly small. We want fairly thin cotton, and then we want to take it and twist it so that it's even thinner, and then we'll back it up later to make it fat again. So twist it small, and then after we get it through the thing, we'll come back and kind of fluff it back out. So what I generally do is I find one tip that's looking good to thread a needle, but you can see, or not see, yeah, you can kind of see, there's like a real thin strand sticking off the end there. And thank you, focus, appreciate that. So what I do is I take it and I snip so that I have a perfectly straight piece. Get myself my sewing needle, which is my third and final tool that I'm always using. So the little eyeglass screwdriver, the tweezers, and the sewing tool. And I'm not really going to be able to do this and pay attention to the focus, but we all know the focus is terrible right now. And thread the needle, okay? Just enough so that there's cotton through the tip. You don't need to like pull it halfway through, because the goal is going to be to pull it through the filament. So once you've got just that little bit hooked on there, and you can hold it however you want, you don't have to do it like me, but this just is working out for me right now. You run the needle through the filament like so, right in the middle, and you just pull that little bit through. Now see, it didn't come all the way through because I didn't have it tied or anything, obviously, but all you do then is you take your little build here, you grab as close as you can on that piece of cotton coming through, and you just drag it on through, and that's it. Now my fourth tool, because I lied and I have a fourth tool, is these scissors. And these are like your standard like fake version of a pair of scissors that can cut a penny in half from the 90s. What you want to do is have something that can measure equal amounts of cotton on both sides. I find that these tilted, because they're thick, you can see the width of the blade there, I find that these tilted cut off the perfect amount of cotton every time. I'd say it's probably just a millimeter or two of cotton, so if you don't have a pair of these scissors, you can kind of have an idea. Take a gander here. It's not a perfect science, but I can just grab this, pull it back through a little bit. Now I can see that they're even on both sides, and you just take these and you pat them down, you fluff them out. Okay, so now these are fluffed out and they are covering the entire hole that was there, right? Because there's a hole in the edge of this, in the edge of these plastic pieces here. There's a hole on each side. So by having the cotton there, when you put the liquid in, this becomes a closed container within the container. And I'm going to show you here after I drop this piece of cotton that I don't need. So we get this in here like so, and we push it straight back. Doesn't matter if it's this way or flipped around, the contacts are opposing, so they'll always meet up with the holes. And you just push them through, right? Easy peasy. Push the contacts right back through. I usually, just to make sure I squared and centered everything, remember this tube comes out, so be careful flexing it to one side or the other, so you don't break anything. But I just gently push straight back in the middle, make sure they're all the way in. Okay, and then you just take the tweezers, bend the contacts back. There's no science to this, it's just bending, you know, the contacts back into place. And that's it. And as you can see, because of the lines of plastic that are inside of the container that this plastic chunk on the centerpiece fits into, it creates a channel, and the only holes into that channel are on the side, which we have blocked up with nice fluffy cotton. That way fluid doesn't go into the channel, it only gets drawn into the filament through the cotton, which is how it should be. So finally, we take whatever juice flavor we're seeking. I'm gonna go with some blueberry lemon cake. I have all kinds of flavors. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I'm gonna take some blueberry lemon cake. And I'm just gonna fill up the container like normal. No special science here either, it's just filling up the container. Put that black stopper back in the top. Just press it until it's flush against the plastic. Be careful not to over squeeze it in there, because you can actually recede it into the plastic because it is rubber. You just need it to be flat with the top. Easy peasy, nothing special here. And then finally, as we did before, we're gonna come in here, as soon as I can grab my screwdriver here, and we're going to pop out these cotton pieces, like so. And we're just gonna squeeze them out. Easy peasy. Grab the lid, cotton back in, flip it over, tap it down. Tap it in, tap it down. Tap it so that it's wide so it doesn't fall out. Repeat the process for the other side. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And it's just the same as before. There's nothing special going on there. I put the cotton into each edge, tapped it down so it doesn't fall out. Pop it onto this baby. Make sure it clicks in place. Blow on it, and that's it. And then I will actually take this one. This is the one we just rebuilt. Just show you guys. Make sure the top is clear. Lush blueberry lemon cake flavor. Absolutely no liquid on the top after a hard pull. No juice getting through. Another hard pull, getting an amazing amount of vape. Flavor is rich, and I only taste the blueberry lemon cake. There's none of the old flavors in there. And finally, one more. Still no liquid on top. And again, no liquid on top, no juice is getting sucked through. This is the way to do it, guys. Maybe there's other ways that are faster, but if you take shortcuts, you're gonna reap what you sow. This is the way to fully rebuild and rewick a Juul pod, and you can make these last forever. I'm still using the same 4 that I bought that came in the kit with this Juul pod. So, I've been using them for about 2 months. So that's it for me, guys. Maybe I'll do a breakdown of the entire Juul pod piece by piece and show you guys how the elements work and stuff, but that's it for this video. If you like, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. I only put videos out rarely, but they're often hopefully as cool as this one was, and I'll see you in the next one.